Have you ever felt like you're just drowning in the cloud's alphabet soup? I mean, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, FOSS. Seriously, it feels like there's a new as-a-service every single week. Well, don't worry. Today, we're going to decode all of it. We're going to peel back all those layers, and by the end of this, you'll totally get how this one simple idea, renting instead of owning, has literally changed everything in tech. All right, let's dive in. So what does as-a-service even mean, really? Well, at its core, it's a super simple concept. Just think about it this way. Instead of buying, owning, and having to maintain all your own IT gear, servers, software, security tools, the whole shebang, you just rent it from someone else over the internet. That's it. And that one little shift has completely revolutionized how we all build and use technology today. Okay, so to really get a handle on the cloud, we've got to start with the big three, the foundational pillars. You can think of them as different levels of service, where each one kind of builds on top of the last. So let's start right at the bottom, from the ground up.
All right, let's use an analogy here to make this super simple. Imagine IaaS is like renting a plot of land and getting a giant box of Legos. You get all the basic, fundamental pieces, right? But you have total freedom to decide what you're going to build and exactly how you're going to build it. That's the whole idea.
The absolute keyword here is control. With IaaS, you're not going out and buying clunky physical servers anymore. Nope. Instead, you're renting virtual infrastructure from the big players, like Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. And that means you get to choose your operating system, you choose your applications. Basically, you are in the driver's seat. And that gives you the most flexibility possible.
Okay, so let's move up one level to PaaS. Now, if IaaS was renting the land and the Legos, then PaaS is like renting a fully equipped workshop. You don't have to worry about the building's foundation or the electricity or any of that stuff. You just walk right in and you can start creating immediately.
And you can imagine this is a huge deal for developers. PaaS gives them all the tools, the databases, the environments, everything they need to code and create right out of the box. Think of a platform like Heroku. The cloud provider handles all the messy, heavy lifting of the infrastructure underneath, which means developers can just focus on what they do best, building amazing applications, not worrying about managing servers.
All right, now we're getting to the one you almost certainly use every single day, probably without even thinking about it. SaaS is that top layer. It's the finished product. There's no building, there's no decorating. You just move right in and start living.
Yeah, this is the most hands-off model of them all. I mean, think about it for a second. You don't install Gmail on your computer, right? You just open a web browser, you log in, and poof, it just works. The provider is handling absolutely everything behind the scenes. The servers, the code, the updates, the security. It's literally software on demand.
Okay, so let's just put this all together for a second. This chart right here is a perfect summary. With IaaS, you're managing a lot. The applications, the data, the operating system. You move to PaaS, and you only have to worry about your apps and your data. And then with SaaS, well, the provider manages everything. See? It's a spectrum, a sliding scale, from maximum control on one end to maximum convenience on the other. But wait, there's more. Beyond those big three, a whole new set of really cool tools has popped up, especially for developers. We're talking about things like function as a service, containers as a service, and backend as a service. And these are all about one thing, building modern apps with as much efficiency, speed, and focus as possible. So let's talk about FaaS, or function as a service. You've probably heard the buzzword for this one, serverless. It sounds cool, doesn't it? But what does it actually mean? Well, instead of having a server that's always on, always running 24/7, your code only runs when something triggers it, like, say, a user uploads a file. And here's the kicker. You only pay for the literal split seconds your code is actually running. It's unbelievably efficient. Next up, we've got CaaS, which stands for Containers as a Service. Now, you've probably heard of Docker, right? It's that tool that packages up an application and everything it needs to run into one neat little box, a container. Well, CaaS gives you a platform, often powered by this thing called Kubernetes, to manage and scale all those little boxes automatically. Then there's BaaS, or Backend as a Service. This is another lifesaver for developers. It gives them pre-built backend services, like user logins or cloud storage, so they can just focus on building the front end, the part of the app that users actually see and interact with. Okay, so we've talked about the computing power and the platforms to build on, but what about the data itself? I mean, where does all our stuff live? This next batch of services, things like storage, database, and even desktop as a service, is all about how we manage our information and our entire work environments from literally anywhere. Now, STaaS and DBaaS, They can sound kind of similar, but trust me, they do very different jobs. Think of storage as a service, or STaaS, as just a giant, infinitely expandable storage locker. You can just dump all your raw files in there. But database as a service, DBAS, that's completely different. That's more like a highly organized library, complete with a librarian who manages, patches, and backs everything up for you. It lets you just focus on your actual data, not the management of the database itself.
I absolutely love this quote because it just perfectly nails the power of desktop as a service, or DaaS. Instead of all your work being stuck on one physical computer, your entire desktop, we're talking your apps, your files, your settings, it all lives in the cloud. What does that mean for you? It means you can log in from any device, anywhere in the world, and pick up exactly where you left off. It's a total game changer, especially for remote work.
Okay, now we get to the really exciting stuff, the superpowers. These next services offer capabilities that not too long ago were only available to giant corporations or massive research labs, but now they're available to pretty much anyone on demand. I mean, just think about that for a second. Having Einstein on speed dial. That is such a powerful way to frame this. Imagine having access to that level of world-class intelligence whenever you need it to solve a problem. Well, in a nutshell, that's what AI and machine learning as a service brings to the table.
And what's so amazing about this is that it completely democratizes AI. It levels the playing field. You don't need a whole team of PhDs anymore to do this stuff. Services like Google's Vision AI let any developer, literally any developer, easily add super powerful features like, say, automatically identifying objects in a photo and build that right into their own apps. It's incredible. But what if you need just raw, earth-shattering power, like a ridiculous amount of speed? That's where high-performance computing as a service, or HPC-AS, comes in. It gives you access to supercomputer-level processing whenever you need it. So for really complex scientific simulations or analyzing massive data sets, you can just rent that Formula One car for a few hours instead of having to buy, build, and maintain the whole thing yourself. It's brilliant. Okay, we're almost at the end of our list, but to make all this other stuff work properly, we need a few final layers. These are the services that handle the absolutely critical jobs of securing, connecting, and just watching over our cloud environments to make sure everything's okay.
Yeah, you can really think of these as the essential utilities that just keep everything running smoothly. You've got security,